All right, you're welcome back. You're still on to KAFTAN Television, and we're broadcasting from the Abuja studio, live from the Abuja studio, and it's the press. Of course, we take a look at all the newspaper headlines, a good number of them, and that's what we've done. We've read out some of the headlines, and one that tends to go through the entire gamut has to do with the rotational presidency bill that was rejected by the House of Reps yesterday. By the way, let me welcome my guest. Abdulaziz Idris is his name. He's the convener, Abuja Traders and Entrepreneurs Roundtable. You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good to have you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so together we will be doing the analysis of these topics. So you probably have seen this headline talking about the proposal for the presidency to be rotated on the basis of the 6 geopolitical zones. What's your take on that?
Yes, you see, this has been a call that has taken longer time, that many people have been calling for this rotational presidency. Earlier on, it is just within the party that they were trying to have a gentleman agreement,
yes.
Whereby, yes, when South did, North will do, East will do, West will do, and so on. But at this point in time, because of so many calls from different regions and from different quarters from Nigeria and Nigerians, that's why I think the proposal was able to scale some readings, and finally it was now rejected.
Yeah.
But I think to some points, some people were arguing that if that rotation was allowed, it will not give room for efficiency and yes, efficiency at least.
Or competence.
Competency, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Competency. It will not give room for competency.
But do you think that's correct? I was saying that is there any geopolitical zone in this country that cannot produce a president, that does not have the material, presidential material?
Yes, there is. In all the 6 geopolitical zones, there are good people.
Exactly.
There are people that have the competency, they might have the experience, they might have the education, and so on and so forth. But you see, sometimes you take cognizance of what happens in other countries, not necessarily Nigeria. You look at America, whom we are copying more. Yeah. You look at Europe countries, you look at Asian countries and others. What is happening around them? What is happening within Africa here too? Something, for example, just like what happened in Senegal, which a young man was elected. You understand? All these things, you have to look within within the environment, your neighborhood, and so on, to see how does it work. If you insist that it has to be rotated one side to another, it's not like we don't have the competency. We don't have it. But people that are even the competence, people that have the capacity, as in they have the sincerity, the faithfulness and whatever, they may not be allowed. They may not be. So people mostly are politicians at the helm of affairs who overpowered, who have occupied all the levels of politics, democracy, and everything, whereby the good people are being kept aside. They were not allowed. That's the problem. So competency to them is a good reason why it should not be allowed. But to some extent, me too, I'm not comfortable with that. I prefer to say yes. Let it be that the rotation will be done in a situation whereby northwest, northeast, north, south. It shouldn't be a kind of like, say, if, for example, now let me just put it this way: if next election in 2027 will be, for example, zone to southeast, I don't want it that way. It should be within 2 zones.
Okay, 2 zones.
2 zones, yeah. Let's say southeast can produce, northeast can produce, for example.
Okay.
You understand? And even their party, what do you call it? Maybe if this party chooses president from northeast, then the vice president should come from southeast. Okay. And if this party say, okay, Southeast has for this presidency, presidential candidate in this party. The vice president will come from the south, the northeast. There could be competition still. There could be competition, and that competency might come. But if you particularly say, it should only be northwest. Even you can see the problem we're having was corrupt politicians have overtaken everything. People that are not corrupt, they cannot even come near to the ladder of that leadership. But because
even now, right?
Even now, that's what is going on. So by the time you say you just keep it to one particular zone, that's what you're going to see. Before you know, it will become like a buzz right. People that are somebody that is not good at all, he has, with the experience that he has, or what people have seen out of him. Maybe he was a governor, or he was a house of rep, or he can come and override and take everything because he has the resources and he has he has the capacity.
Well, is that not still what we currently face? There's no difference.
We still face it, but but here there's within this one there's competition.
The field is
open.
Is open. Is wider.
Is wider at this point of time. But when you streamline it to one side, to just say only this zone can produce. For example, in 2027, if that one is allowed, they will say, okay, since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president from Southwest, so all the political parties should produce aspirants from the south, Southwest.
Yes.
It doesn't.
It will Southwest. Yes. If we are following.
Yeah, it will not be good for democracy. America don't do that.
Yeah, but two things quickly. We might say yes, America does not do that, or these other big names, big countries don't do that.
Yes.
Shouldn't we be more concerned about developing homegrown solutions to our challenges?
Yeah, you have made a very, very good point. If we are determined to do something like that, even this same presidency, parliamentary system of government, we shouldn't be talking about it. In Africa, we should have developed our own system of government, whereby we could do better and develop our countries. But it's because all these things we're doing, we are copying, we're emulating other countries. That's why the problem is. Up to now, tell me one African country that has created its own system of democracy that differs from the one we are practicing. All these things we are copying from them, and then they do it in a modest and a better way than us. Despite the fact that we know they have been doing it hundreds of years before us.
Yeah.
But yet our own, we do it with a kind of difference. But that difference is something that is somehow we are not doing it the right way.
The right way. All right, because okay, have you thought of this other? Part of why those people, some people are concerned, is that if you leave everything the way it currently is,
yes,
there is a fear that some people will never have a taste of that office. And I think that's the fear even that engineered that bill. That prompted that
you
bill.
see, that fear should be struck out.
Why? Let me give you quick examples.
Yes.
In states, for example.
Yeah.
There are states, for example, where if you leave it only to just democracy numbers, the higher numbers, then some people permanently will never get. For example, in Benue State,
yes,
thieves will always win.
Yes, true. Yes,
if you follow the numbers.
The numbers, yeah, true.
If you follow the numbers in Kogi, only the Igalas will win. So what you see currently is because an accident, quote unquote, an accident happened in Kogi. That's why you have what you have. And then after that, the power of incumbency was used to facilitate the current setting. Now, so if you leave it only by democracy, purest form of democracy, let's just go by the numbers, some people will never, and that's exactly what's
you see,
inspiring.
We have to look at the state's own case different from federal.
Okay.
If we are going to look at the state own case different from federal, in states, I know each state too has zones, maybe senatorial zones.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
I think I could see what happened in Edo State.
Yes.
It's a gentleman agreement, but both of them agreed.
I like the example.
Whereby they now agree that this particular senatorial district should be the one to produce, because the other one has produced,
and the other one
also has produced.
Yes.
So this is the term of this one, which the people rallied behind that, and it was supported, and it was all agreed, and it worked. Yes. Now Obebelo is the governor of Edo State.
Yes.
So in states, there's a need for states in each state, its own stakeholders, to sit down and iron that matter out, and allow it to work.
Right.
Whereby the numbers will only be a numerical figure, whereby it supports the zoning arrangements.
Okay.
You understand?
All right.
But in federal, if you leave it, if you change it to this system that of rotational, I'm telling you, you will see many things that you do not expect.
All right. So let's now bring that same point I made about the states. Now, on the federal level.
Yes.
And I believe that this is the reason why the bill even came up in the first instance. The way it's going, chances are that the Southeast may not, in the next 10, 15 years or more, may not have a chance at the presidency. Remember that even the South-South only got it accidentally.
Yes, South-South. Okay.
South-South.
In court, I
understand.
Yes. Okay. You made a point, but I didn't see it that way.
Okay.
Why I said Southeast is the way they play their politics that really matters.
Okay.
If you can remember, in First Republic, Zik, who is not only a figure politically in Nigeria but in all Africa, was able to make alliance with the NPC, I think. You understand? To make a government. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
And in Second Republic, NPM, where NPN, Nigerian National Party,
National Party of
Nigeria, Shehu Shagari was the aspirant.
Yeah.
And they took Alex Ikweme from Southeast to become the vice president.
Yes.
If you look all this, just based on this antecedent, it is what it's telling you is that Southeast two were very closer to the presidency, and they could get the presidency. Only was either one or the other. You know, all those First and Second Republic were overtaken by events whereby military took over. But at the same time, let me tell you, Southeast stand the chance of getting presidency equally like any other region. But the way they do their politics sometimes is very, very narrow-minded politics, whereby they thought only Southeast voting can make them to win election all over Nigeria.
No, I don't think anybody can think that.
No, if you look the way they play politics, for example, how comes, for example, just what happened in 2023? You know, if you look at Peter Obi's score, if you look at Atiku's score, what Atiku got in 2023 election, for example, if they are able to come together as one,
they would have won.
They would have won election. We will not be talking about APC and Tinubu at this point of time.
Yes.
There must be a good alliance. For example, he can't win election if he didn't have a vice president or vice presidential candidate who is prominent and a well-known person from the north or from the west. You understand? There must be that marriage, and you cannot just take anybody. You have to look at somebody who can deliver that side, the other side there you have. So, if you look at what Buhari did to Southeast, is telling them that, okay, come together with me. That was in 2003 and 2007. Just remember, he took Okadibo in the first place. When Okadibo was demised, he took Edwin Emezuke, I think the former Second Republic speaker.
Yes, yes.
They come together. This is telling you that the Southeast, the way they are doing their politics, if to say they were following the marriage, the alliances between one party and another, I'm telling you, they would have been in presidency for long. But you see, even if they were given slot of vice presidents, they reject it. They reject Okadibo, they reject Edwin Emezuke, you understand? The only time they worked with the North is during NPN, whereby them and Alex Shagari and Alex Okomi, they were able to do good. See, we have to, if Southeast, there's something that I would like Southeast people to do, is that they should leave all these political gimmicks, our differences, hate and whatever. We are one. We are all from Adam and Eve. We can come together. Let's do a politics without bitterness. They can win election and they can get election. They can get presidency at any time, equally like Northwest, Northeast and everywhere. If they have to agree to terms with any other region. There is no, even the Northwest, who are the highest voting bloc, they can never win election alone. If today, I'm telling you, all the regions came up with the presidential aspirants, if Northwest stands, still cannot win election. There must be a kind of good alliance and political marriages, let me put it that way, whereby North and South will marry together. Likewise, that's what Tinubu did this time around. He took Shetima from Northeast. Don't forget, apart from Southeast, Northeast have never seen closer anything to even vice president apart from Shetima. Many people do not know. North Central.
Even North Central, yeah.
North Central to democratically, apart from rule out military.
Yes, of course.
Yes, you understand. As far as democracy is concerned, as we are talking about, they have never come even to get a vice president. All these things you see rotate within Northwest. Yes. And this Northwest is because it's the highest voting bloc. And they have been producing more prominent political figures than the other regions. But at this time, from 1999 today, we have been seeing the emergence of good people, people with capacity and discipline that they can even take over Nigeria. I mean, they can get the presidency from both the Northeast and North Central. Likewise, the Southeast. They are not they are not neglected. No Southeast was neglected. It's just the way they play their politics. Anytime they have a candidate who will be even at the second position, they will not vote for him.
Let's talk about the second position, Abdulaziz Idris.
Yes.
We do know that the second position, in fact, some people have described it as the spare tire. Because officially, constitutionally, there's little or no role assigned to that office. Little or no role. So they exist at the behest, at the beck and call of Mr. President. Yes, whatever he says, if he says go and greet my wife,
he has to do it.
Yeah, so that's
if not, it will be changed to another thing politically. Yeah.
So I guess that's why many people would say that's not anything. We have not gotten anything. If that's what we get, if that's what we're going to get, then we've not gotten anything. Take a look at that, yes. Because, I mean, this guy doesn't have a role.
Yeah, definitely.
If the president is not attending a meeting, he could say, okay, go and represent me then.
Yeah, that's the only thing. You see, these are the kind of changes and reforms we need in our constitution and political system. Vice President, deputy governors, vice chairmen in area councils are equally facing the same problem. Are you with me? Now, we need to do something. It's either two-way. Whether, the problem we have today is that our politicians, most of the time, they only look at themselves as their interest rather than national or state interest. This is the major problem we're having. But if we can sit down and look at it together, we can do it this way. I think there was a time he himself, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was like, his body language was speaking like, let's do something regional. You understand? I think, to me, there was a time I was thinking the same thing you think about. I said, Kai, there's a need for us entirely to scrap office of the vice president, to scrap office of deputy governors, to scrap office of vice chairman of local governments. But what shall we do to replace it? so that it will not result to autocracy by the person, the next person in office. I mean, the president or the governor or whatever. You understand? Meanwhile, if you remember, vice president doesn't have the power to check president.
He can't even
he
check.
Cannot even do anything.
He can't.
But yet, if we can agree, we can do something to replace that office,
or at least to
we can assign
to strengthen
that office.
That office.
Politically, it might have some kind of it will bring a kind of fight one day between office of the president.
No,
and
we have seen such.
If you have
seen such fights.
Yes, it has been happening.
I mean, we saw the very protracted kind of between Obasanjo and Atiku.
That one,
and then in states, we saw this same Tinubu had issues with two or three of his deputies.
Yes, that's it.
When
he was in Lagos governor, you have made a very good. Exactly. Even in my state, Jigawa State, back then there's a governor I know that he changes deputy governors every year almost. You understand? So it has been happening, but it can be changed. You understand? If we sat down and say, okay, this is the way. If we want to strengthen the office, the one that you are talking even between Obasanjo and Atiku. It's not even worse as what happened in South Africa. I think is it Zuma and his deputy or one. There's one African country which I know they have to even have physical fight between president and vice president. You understand?
Oh my God.
So you see, we can do something. We can strengthen the office.
Yes.
But we have to do it with caution, whereby it will not bring a kind of rift, whereby the vice president will not be also seeing himself as equal as president. You understand? Right. Because yes, for example, now Tinubu and Shetima were elected on the same platform.
Yes.
But yet the power rests only on in the office of the president.
True.
But
in fact, to the point where even some of his aides have to be appointed by the president.
By the president. All this.
Do you understand that? Yeah. Some of his own aides that are going to work with him have to be appointed.
We have been following all that. We have been seeing that, which is not good. Vice president should be allowed to appoint his own
team.
He has, for example, as a vice president, whoever you see that was able to get that seat of the vice president, he is equal to the task. He has his own people in both geopolitical zones. If appointment was based on geopolitical zones, I'm sure he has his people to appoint as geopolitical zones. There are people that follow him. There are people that have worked for him during the election campaign and so on. And the next thing is you appoint people from your office and sideline all the people that he wanted to appoint, which is not good. Vice president has become really, as what people say, spare tire. But it shouldn't be a spare tire. It should be a kind of running tire that is assisting the office of the president, not as a spare tire. Because a spare tire, if for example you have a new tires and those new tires run for the whole 4 years, that means the spare tire will remain idle, not doing anything. Even people will be looking, why is that spare tire? Why they'll be looking under the vehicle so to look why is so it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that way. We should try and see that we strengthen the office of the vice president. At least the former president Buhari has done a very he did a bit better than the rest of the president, because if you look at what he did during Yemi Osunbajo, despite all the political connotation, people are talking here and there, but he tried. I saw him as a kind of person that really within that time he at least give Yemi Osunbajo the responsibility to assign to him, and he did it diligently without any interference. And
even on one occasion he did what do you say it now? He did transmit power to him, but when he was not.
Yes, he transmits power. Yeah. But at this time around, I have never seen. I'm not sure whether even Tinubu is traveling. He's giving power to Shetima. I have not seen that, and nobody talks about it. But during Buhari, there were several times that even Yemi Obasanjo by himself debunked people talking that he was not power was not given to him temporarily when the president is not around, and he made federal appointments directly. We see. You can remember he made federal appointments when the president is away. We are very much aware of that. Many people, Nigerians, can remember because it's not quite long they left office. So these are the things we need to look at.
Well, I think that we will just take a break, and when we get back, we'll take a look at another of the trending issue, the JAMB issue. And of course, the lines have been open and they will remain open after the break. Please do join us to make this happen. Welcome back. You're still on to the press, and it's coming to you live from the Abuja studio of KAFTAN TV, and we're on the home run right now. In a few minutes, less than about 20 minutes, we'll be out of this. And the line is open. Please do call in. 08029938365 is the number. Please do call in. Let's have your own perspective. But right now, I have with me in the studio Abdulaziz Idris, who's been tackling and doing a fantastic job of it, articulating his view on the rotational presidency. And then we want to shift a little to JAMB and the results that came out recently, and the fact that they are saying they are going to be meeting with VCs tomorrow. And I'm going to be asking Idris, what do you think of this? I mean, last week we had the information that 1.5 million out of 1.955 million or something didn't score up to 200. That is, didn't score 50%.
Yes. It is very unfortunate. I also I saw that same news. My son was among those who did the exam too at the JAMB.
Yeah, I also have.
Yes, so we have children that really participate in the exam, and we have seen the result. It's very, very poor for you to say about 1.5 million people either lost it or couldn't make the cut-off mark. It's very, very demoralizing, and it needs we have to get concerned, really. Definitely, no doubt about that, because every parent want to see their children stepping into the campuses of universities in the next session. But this is the result now. Many of them will not make it. Because if you look at many universities, their cut-off mark is from 180 and above.
Exactly.
So, and we have people that are below 180, far.
Yes, far below.
There are even more. So only some few percentages, I think, were able to score up to 300, between 200 to 300. Yeah. Well, 180 and towards 200 also just a few percentage. It's very, very alarming. But what I've seen is even the JAMB too, they need to do more work, and to ensure that they make the problem I discover, whereby in the centers where most of the students went for these exams, some there is no network, some there is a system collapse and breakdown, and so many other issues like that. And some, despite all the rhetoric that they have been saying, that people will go to their nearest exam centers, but yet people have to drive distance. All these things, transport hitches and other things, really has brought about issues whereby so many of them couldn't make the exam. Some they were interrupted midway because they couldn't come on time. And some due to that system, I told you, system breakdown and network failures, they could not be able to submit all their work. So all these things are really problems that make about 1.5 million people to lost the exam. But really, all these things centered to the the JAMB office.
All right.
There is a need for them to do more. There's a need for them to change the system. I think nationally they have to ensure that we have adequate centers everywhere, at least in each senatorial or whatever districts, And apart from that, we need to have, we have schools. There's a need to equip these schools with everything that is needed for this. And if there is either network or technical glitches, they need to acknowledge that
and make
a supplementary provision
yeah.
for those students to do exam. This will really bridge this gap of failures in exams of JAM. I'm very much sure of that. And apart from that, even the BCs that they are contacting and other schools, I think is good, so that a student will be educated very well. And as well, even the one that maybe I forgot to mention was because the training of the student before the exam.
Exactly.
That mock exam they used to do.
Yeah.
I think instead of doing it only once, they should be giving it more priority now, whereby the schools you are, before you come to the main mock, the JAM and those schools should have a kind of alliance or a kind of coordinated effort whereby they will go to schools
and test
them, do a kind of pastime mock before the main mock.
Okay.
Whereby
and then before the exam proper.
Yes, so that students become more familiar. Education is the best. It's the only thing that you can give a child. That's why one of these, I think, our first leaders, I think, is Chairman Mao of China, once upon a time said, if your plan is for 1 year, he said, plant a rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant a tree. But he said, if your plan is for 100 years, educate a child.
Educate a child.
That's the best thing to do. So there's a need for us to stand and ensure that our children get a better education.
I agree with you entirely. But again, I think that there are other parts that we're not also focusing on much. I agree entirely that these system failures, these the distance in the exam centers from homes, and even the timing. Some people are told that they must get to this thing at 6:30. How do you get to an exam center at 6:30? And especially in some of these very big cities where traffic is usually getting into a snarl and all that and all that. So yes, these are very true. But again, I think that also that students and the secondary schools that they pass through and the teachers from those places have a part to also play.
Yes,
because I've seen students who score A1 in some subjects, and you interact with them, you see that they don't have it. It still also touches on the fact that there's so much corruption in the system. Because how do you make an A1 and you can't even articulate what somebody who has C6 is doing, can do. So these are some of the issues. So definitely, the fact that somebody has scaled through secondary school may not necessarily mean that he has what it takes to do a JAM. And that number might be quite huge too. So all of this is, it's good that they have set out a time to do a meeting. And I do hope that the meeting will be fruitful. I do hope that maybe they also would want to consider lowering the cutoff point at this point.
Even that one is part of it. It's part of when maybe they have the meet. There's a need for them to cut down that. But apart from cutting the cutoff mark, I think as the point you made about teachers, schools, and parents.
And parents too.
They have a very, very big role to play really here, because ensuring that your children learn, have a good environment
for learning.
That is a suitable environment where they can learn, you understand. And qualified teachers is one major problem that we have. That's why you see now somebody in university level 1, he cannot speak correct English.
Exactly.
He cannot be able to write.
They can't write.
Expected to have.
They can't fill forms.
They cannot fill forms until when they are assisted. All these things should be tackled primarily. What I mean is, should be tackled right from the main secondary school that they are going through.
Exactly.
The teachers, the parents, and the school authorities in either local government and states and whatever, they should make sure that they get qualified teachers. I like what former Governor Akodense did, Malam Nasir, despite all the criticism. He put a benchmark for who will become a teacher.
Yes, and I remember it was even controversial at the time.
Yeah, it's controversial, but whatever you want to do, so far you want to bring a health competition in a system, people will really doesn't want it, but that's the best way to do it.
Oh no, what happened?
There's a need for other states to emulate something like that. I could see in some states you go and see a teacher himself. He will be teaching English in either Hausa or Yoruba or Igbo. How can that person win English exam? I've seen that.
Let's take this call. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, this is Akim calling from Lagos.
You're welcome. Let's have you quickly.
Okay, thank you. Let me just talk on that issue of JAM and the education system in Nigeria. What I just see is that, JAM may have issues about the network or not, but still, JAM still remains the best way to actually pick out those that are not qualified to go into our university. Look, educational system in Nigeria is so dilapidated that you can't even say anything about it, right from the primary sector. Let me give you an example. Like you are saying, so many will have A1 in their secondary school and they can't defend it. It's not their fault. It's because their parents and the teachers have made it for them. So JAM is the one that will detect them. If there is strictness in our educational system from primary school, whereby teachers are given that room to add a child that actually passed from primary 1 to primary 2 without any excuses or whatever, if that strictness is there, no matter how many years that child will spend in primary school until he meets up before he comes, before he's allowed to move to the next class, the same thing should be applying to secondary school. At least, I was educated. I've been into secondary school. I know the corrupt aspect. I know the genuine aspect. So nothing anyone will tell anyone. The politicians themselves, they should stop all these things just simply because they want people to know that their students in their state are passing the exam, and they put pressure on teachers. Teachers, because of that pressure, they don't want to lose their jobs. They tend to help the students and all these things. There should be strictness.
Right.
If your child does not pass, if your child does not pass, then let him remain there until
they pass.
God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Bless you. Thank you so much. These days, nobody repeats classes. Everybody just passes.
Yes.
How is that possible?
It's exactly like
That's what he's saying.
Point he has made, which is very, very vital. I have seen that his point because, another caller. All right.
No, we're almost rounding up. So
okay.
I don't know.
So in essence, what I'm trying to make to buttress his point is that we have seen a lot, really. We have all known how the system works. Private school teachers, whether they are qualified or not, but because they're employed and the parents are paying huge amount of money, they just put results to those children.
Exactly.
That you pass, whether that child pass or not, they will give him A. And he's not even an immaterial, but they'll give him A, just for them to impress the parents.
The parents. And so that they can get more gifts.
That's it.
So this is very unfortunate.
And where our state schools, either state or local government schools,
yes,
you understand, the problem we're having is that the teachers, they could be qualified teachers, but there is no good suitable environment of learning.
Exactly. Likewise,
they cannot be able to teach. They are teaching in harsh condition and harsh environments. How do you expect them to give a good teaching? Their salaries are either withheld or they are what do you call it, this minimum wage issue. So many states, many processors, many educational departments have not yet implemented. Yes. How do you expect teachers with having a hole in their pockets? They don't have somebody that maybe he didn't eat breakfast and he has no hope. He has no hope to get lunch. How do you expect him to enter class and give a good learning? They might be qualified, but these are the problems we are facing. That's why, and the problem we have in Nigeria, we like to be saying privatize, go to private school. Do you know what the problem of private school? They are the one producing this kind of nonsense.
more.
Whereby you
That's
see a university graduate that cannot write you an essay.
Unfortunately, we just have to go because it's almost time. We just have to go.
Understand
there are several perspectives to this. For example, some people have even started to say, should we even continue to have JAMB? Because you have JAMB, you have post-UTME, that it stresses the parents and all that. But at this point, we just got to go. I must say thank you to my guest, Abdulaziz Idris. Thank you so much for coming.
It is my pleasure.
And thank you, dear viewers, for staying tuned to KAFTAN TV. Your commitment, your loyalty is appreciated. And thank you very much, production team. Big up to you. My name is Dayo Mogun, and it's bye for now.